What is up, guys? How are you guys doing today? Today we are going to be discussing what each major director's next movie should be. And by we, I mean me. So let's just get started. Christopher Nolan, the man, the myth, the legend, amazing movies. What should his next movie be after The Odyssey? Christopher Nolan's World at War. This is going to be an epic World War II movie, Dunkirk style, but multiplied by 1,000. The very first scene of this movie is going to be Operation Barbarossa. That's the largest land invasion in history by the Germans going into the Soviet Union, right? And also there's going to be another character that's going to be fighting with the Eastern Front, the Japanese, right? So we're going to see two stories. And you know Christopher Nolan's, he's hearing all this like interconnected timelines and stuff, and you just know he's salivating for this movie already. And we're going to see a whole bunch of practical effects, the biggest battles the world has ever seen. So as I said, the opening scene will be the invasion launching, but the vast majority of the movie is going to be centered on the biggest battle in the history of mankind, the Battle of Stalingrad, the Soviet Union versus the Germans. And that's not it. In the third act, like the last 40 minutes or so, we're gonna get the Battle of Midway, the Japanese versus the United States, and too many aircraft carriers just going at it. Like, it's gonna be insane, it's gonna be terrifying. And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like a hooray type movie. No, it's gonna be brutal, it's gonna be devastating, it's gonna be very Dunkirk style, but we're gonna go for that rated R this time. Like, as much as I do love Dunkirk, I was sick and tired of just seeing like bodies get blown up. Like, they go 25 foot in the air, they fall down, and like there's no blood. Like, it just looked like they fell asleep. And in real war, that's just not how it works. Second to last scene, we're gonna see the nukes getting dropped on Japan. I get it, for Oppenheimer, he didn't show because he wanted to focus on Oppenheimer, but I honestly do think everyone needs to know how terrifying and devastating and scary as hell these weapons are. So I would like to see that on the big screen, just so I could be like, yeah, like, you guys saw that, right? Let's not do that again. The cast could just be a bunch of no names. I'll just leave Nolan up to it. Actually, no, Nolan's gonna hire Michael Caine to play Stalin or something. Up next, we have Quentin Tarantino, one of my favorite directors. His 10th and final movie, which is the next one, should be Django Unchained Part 2. Look, hear my pitch. Calvin Candy's brother is out for revenge, played by either Joaquin Phoenix or John Travolta. And don't give me any of that resistance to John Travolta. Tarantino's gonna get an amazing performance out of him. Come on, tell me that's not money. Of course, Jamie Foxx is gonna come back. But also, one thing that I do not want to see. I've been hearing talks of like, if this movie's gonna happen, it's gonna be Django and Zorro. Look, as much as I like Zorro and, he's doing his own thing, let's not mix them up, all right? I just want to see Django. Like, Zorro could just do his own thing. I will crash out if Zorro is going to be in Tarantino's last movie, all right? I have no problems with Zorro. I think everyone's going to assume I hate Zorro now. I also want to see Django go up against another, like, amazing gunslinger, because in Django Unchained, he was just, like, obliterating everyone. Robert Eggers' next movie should be a remake of The Exorcist. You know I'm cooking. Look, I love The Exorcist. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I'm talking top 3. Maybe even top 2. Maybe even number 1. Anyways, look. Imagine the visuals Robert Eggers is going to come up with. I love his movies. He has such a distinct style. Like, I love this man. Watch The Witch and get some psychological torture moments in The Lighthouse. And I know people are saying, like, Robert Eggers said he's never gonna make a movie in modern times, no contemporary movies. No problem. Have this movie be set in the Renaissance era, medieval era, I don't care. Someone gets possessed and shit goes down. You get the point, all right? If this movie ever happens, it will be like my most anticipated horror movie of all time. Maybe top 2, because I pitched another horror movie with another great director that we're going to be talking about later. Just the casting, just a bunch of unknown, amazing actors. You don't need a DiCaprio for Exorcist remake, you get it? I've been thinking, the DC needs a new Batman, right? Denis Villeneuve's The Batman. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of pushback when I say the actor that he should cast as Batman. But before you go into the comments and threaten my life with a shotgun, please hear me out. The person I picked for the Batman is Adam Driver. You like it? No? Yeah? I don't care what you like. Adam Driver would be an amazing Batman. I don't care what anyone says. He has the voice, he has the look, he has the aura, he's gonna apply himself. Adam Driver as Batman. Let's get a movement going. I wanna see him as Batman. I don't care what anyone says. I know people are gonna be like, oh, well, James Gunn's Superman's all super goofy, but is Villeneuve gonna basically like sacrifice his vision for the Batman to be connected to DC? Well, James Gunn already saying the next Superman movie is gonna be a lot darker, so I think that's gonna perfectly fit into the Batman's tone, but let's not talk about Superman right now. Let's focus on Batman. And some villains I've been cooking. Of course, you're gonna have the essential Jokers and Banes, of course, right? But I want to see Mr. Freeze again, a Villeneuve Mr. Freeze, not Joel Schumacher, that abomination of a movie Mr. Freeze. A great Mr. Freeze, a scary Mr. Freeze. I also want to see Villeneuve's Scarecrow. I feel like he could really go down with Scarecrow. And also, I want to see Black Mask in there. Yeah, let's do that. And cast Bryan Cranston as Commissioner Gordon. Woo! I just cooked with that one, and you know it. All right, what's next? Up next, we have James Cameron. Look, I feel like he could make 2 movies. He's the only director I'm gonna pick 2 movies, right? James Cameron, first movie after he spends the next decade making Avatar movies. Again, don't get caught up. This is hypothetical. James Cameron's Aquaman. This man loves water and he loves the color blue. That's all you need to know. And cast Jake Gyllenhaal as Aquaman or Nikolai Coster-Waldau as an Aquaman. What do you think about that? But also, I don't want to just see James Cameron do Aquaman. I want to see James Cameron do the Justice League movie. Woo! Oh, calm down. It's not happening. Calm down. Like, I know you're excited, but look, James Cameron's Justice League. Imagine the visuals, the storytelling, the characters. And if anyone says, Avatar, man, that movie's just like Dances with Wolves, man. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. James Cameron would make an amazing Justice League movie. Look at the action sequences in The Terminator 2 and Aliens. And also look at the final battle in Avatar 1. Tell me that guy's not going to make an amazing battle with the Justice League going up against Doomsday, which will be the first villain of the first Justice League movie. James Cameron's Doomsday, not that abomination looking thing that looks like the cave troll from Fellowship of the Ring from Batman vs. Superman. But anyways, look, I don't want to keep throwing strays at Snyder, poor guy. Anyways, look, I also picked out the actors who should play some of the superheroes in the Justice League. Green Lantern, you guys are gonna go crazy for this one. I honestly think I'm Einstein for figuring this out, or I'm gonna just get roasted in the comments, one of the two. Green Lantern should be played by Bruce Campbell. Yeah. It's gonna be funny. It's gonna be witty. He's gonna be playing like an older, experienced Green Lantern. Like, amazing. It's gonna be so good. As I mentioned, Adam Driver as Batman, Jake Gyllenhaal as Aquaman, and also Naomi Scott as Wonder Woman. What do y'all think about that? I think that's pretty good. Ari Aster, one of my favorite new voices in cinema right now. His next movie, again, it's gonna be another remake. Again, we will always have the original of these. Ari Aster's The Shining. Woo! Dude, rewatch Hereditary. Rewatch Midsommar. And some of that paranoia and anxiety from Beau Was Afraid and Eddington. Apply that to The Shining. The Shining is, again, in my top 3 favorite horror movies of all time. Ari Aster's The Shining will be an experience like no other. It's going to be so freaking scary. It's going to be so subtle. It's going to be nuanced. And you know Ari Aster is going to take this movie very seriously. He's going to get into the nitty-gritty. He's not going to just, like, explain everything. I feel like Ari Aster is going to cook something unforgettable. Up next, we have Martin Scorsese. And yes, it's Scorsese, not Scorsese, even though Scorsese does sound cooler. Anyways, possibly the best living director right now. Ooh, I cooked with this one so bad. I just can't wait to tell you, even though I could just tell you right now. And that is Martin Scorsese's Washington. It's going to be a movie about the founding fathers and George Washington. George Washington is going to be the main character, played by Joaquin Phoenix. Ooh, I cooked with that one. And it's going to be him, the war with the English and eventually the making of this country, the Declaration of Independence, all of that stuff. This is going to be like a 3.5-hour movie. Scorsese, he's going to go wild with this movie. Zack Snyder, everyone's favorite director right now. For Zack Snyder, I had to get kind of a little bit creative. I was like, okay, some things is just not going to work with his style. I have to pick something that's going to really play into his strengths. I've been thinking, I thought of this, I thought of that, and I landed on Zack Snyder's Transformers movie. Look, as much even the biggest Zack Snyder haters can admit, he has a great eye for action, and he's really good with some, like, cool visuals, right? Transformers. Like, I don't... There you go. Up next, we have Paul Thomas Anderson. And I want him to collaborate with Daniel Day-Lewis again, playing Stalin. I want a character study biopic about the Soviet Union, Stalin. I don't care if he wants to demonize him, sympathize with him. I don't care what he does. I'm gonna let PTA do the writing and all that stuff. I just want to see Daniel Day-Lewis as Stalin, and I know Stalin is like 5'6", bro was short as hell. But Daniel Day-Lewis is like 6'1", and we could either do the forced perspective shot technique like in Fellowship of the Ring, making him look shorter with certain techniques, or I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis will just straight up just like cut off some of his legs and just like, you know, bring his height down. Bro gets down like that. This movie's gonna feel like There Will Be Blood mixed in with The Master, and, you know, just have PTA go crazy. Up next, we have Steven Spielberg. I think he should make a Star Wars standalone movie. Not a trilogy, not just one standalone spin-off that has nothing to do with, you know, the Skywalkers or whatever, you know? Just him, and guess who's coming back to write this movie? Guess. George Lucas. Yup, you heard that right. The man is very flawed, but he has some damn good ideas. Even the biggest George Lucas haters could admit that George Lucas has amazing ideas. He's just not the best with working with dialogue or actors and stuff like that, but his ideas are goated, and with Spielberg's direction and, you know, him, you know, helping out a little bit, I feel like this movie is going to be a lot of fun. Peter Jackson, the man that made The Lord of the Rings. And I want him to make possibly an adaptation of my favorite video game of all time, Peter Jackson's Skyrim. Woo! I know. Calm down. I know. I cooked. I know. I'll let the applause, you know, die down for a bit. And Adam Driver could play the protagonist, and Josh Brolin could be the voice of Alduin, this big, huge dragon, and he's the main villain. And we're gonna see Adam Driver go like this battle mage type build. He's gonna be a magician with like a battle axe. He's gonna be fighting giants. He's gonna be fighting big spiders. He's gonna be fighting the Stormcloaks. He's gonna be fighting Alduin. Actually, no, he's gonna fight against Imperials. Stormcloaks for life. Imagine the action sequences, imagine the production design, just the vibes. And I know some might say, oh, have you seen his Hobbit movies, man? So not it, man. Bro, the Hobbit movies were not Peter Jackson's fault. It was the studio's fault. Bro had like 2 minutes to make a freaking trilogy, bro. He did the best that he could. And honestly, what he did make was actually impressive based on the circumstances that he was in. Also, you could throw in Matt Smith playing Mirak. Okay, this next one, I honestly feel like I hit the jackpot of what this next director's movie should be. This man, George Miller, possibly the best action director of all time. Literally just watch Mad Max Fury Road. That's my reason. Anyways, look. His next movie should be George Miller's Mortal Kombat 3. Look, basically, dude. Alright, we're getting Mortal Kombat 2 like Nick's made. For some reason it got delayed, whatever. I almost crashed out when I heard that. Imagine what George Miller could do with Mortal Kombat. And I know some people are like, Mortal Kombat, isn't that for like, you know, like dumb people? Like, who takes that seriously, man? I do. If anyone knew the lore and story of Mortal Kombat, everyone would take it seriously and everyone would treat it like the high art that it is, alright? And George Miller is gonna bring, like, imagine Sub-Zero, Shao Kahn, Raiden, Scorpion. Imagine what George Miller's gonna do. Ermac, Reptile, Baraka. Don't get me started on freaking Unaga. Look, this is gonna be beautiful. You can hire Joaquin Phoenix as Sub-Zero and get Leonardo DiCaprio as Raiden or something. Of course, the DiCaprio one's a joke, but Joaquin Phoenix should play Sub-Zero. Next director, Darren Aronofsky. I love this guy so much. I find him underrated, to be honest, even though he does get glazed a lot. Darren Aronofsky's The Thing. Woo! Just imagine, like, the second half of Mother mixed with, like, the last 10 minutes of Requiem for a Dream. Balls to the wall, terrifyingness. Up next, this franchise is probably going to get introduced to us very soon. And I have the perfect director to guide this amazing franchise. Guillermo Del Toro's X-Men. X-Men's gonna be part of the MCU now. Who better than Guillermo Del Toro to introduce them? He has an amazing eye for visuals, for vibes, for storytelling. And of course, like, not all of his movies are like amazing 10 out of 10s. But up next, we have Bong Joon Ho. Amazing director. Didn't love his last movie, but Parasite, Memories of Murder, Snowpiercer, amazing movies. I want to see him kind of delve into the horror, right? And of course, like the second half of Parasite really took like a tonal shift, like a thriller, like dark thriller thing going on. I want him to really utilize that and his skills of making The Host Alien. Ooh, imagine the suspense. Imagine the intensity. Imagine what Bong Joon Ho could do with the production design, with the xenomorph. And of course, my boy Song Kang-ho's gotta be in there. And you could just put like Joaquin Phoenix in there. And Adam Driver. Jordan Peele, what should his next movie be? I really like what he did with Nope and subverting what your ideas of a UFO could be and stuff like that. And I want to have him do that with a different subgenre of horror. I want to see a Jordan Peele slasher movie. Ooh, what do y'all think about that? My boy Sam Raimi, what should his next movie be? I cooked with this one because this franchise keeps bombing because society just punishes art for being good these days, I guess. Sam Raimi's Mad Max. Yep. Of course, the budget's going to get cut down to like $70 million because they keep bombing or whatever, but Sam Raimi's Mad Max, if he brings his skills, what he did with the Evil Dead franchise, and also the Spider-Man, the perfect mix between campy, seriousness, and awesome action. Great eye for action. And Sam Raimi, he's gonna have his Sam Raimi-isms. And of course, Tom Hardy's coming back to play Max. Ridley Scott, his next movie, I might get some hate for this one, but I don't care. I'm gonna stand on business on this one. His final movie should be the conclusion to his Prometheus trilogy. Prometheus, Alien Covenant, we never got the third one. I want to see it. I want to see the resolution of the engineers, the resolution of David, what the hell he's trying to do. I want to see it. I want to see it so bad. And I know you're saying, well, you want Bong Joon Ho to do Alien and Ridley Scott to do Alien? Simple. Have Ridley Scott, have this movie, give resolution to the engineers and David, and boom. Fresh restart with Bong Joon Ho. There you go. Wes Anderson, he's one of the most quirky, easy to figure out which movies his type movies. All of his movies have a very particular feeling and style. I want him to do something different. I'm thinking of a neo-noir murder mystery with two detectives played by Joaquin Phoenix and Benicio Del Toro. And I feel like it's going to really pop off and give Wes Anderson an opportunity to really flex his muscle and show his diversity of what the hell he can do. I want to see it. It's going to be funny. It's going to be dark. And Wes Anderson, there's always these dark undertones sometimes that I sense with him. I feel like he's going to really let that go in this movie and give us a treat. And the killer could be played by Adam Driver or something. Greta Gerwig, very talented. I want her to do a historical period piece. She gets to pick the topic and everything else. I just want to see a period piece, realistic version, like a time capsule movie, and just let her do the rest. For this next director, it's way less of, I want to see this so bad, and more of a, let's just see what happens type thing. M. Night Shyamalan's Friday the 13th. I know. But really think about it. I feel like he could add something really new and like a breath of fresh air of the Friday 13th, franchise with M. Night Shyamalan. It's either going to be really good or might be the worst thing we've ever seen. But I honestly do think M. Night Shyamalan is underrated. Yeah, some of his movies are abominations, but I feel like he is talented. And once he really pops off, he can make something really good. So I know the Fallout TV show is going on right now, but I just want to see one Fallout movie not tied to that TV show, directed by Damien Chazelle. Imagine the man that made Whiplash, First Man, La La Land, and Babylon as a very specific aesthetic and vibe to Fallout. I love those games so much. I also want to see what Damien Chazelle does with the action-adventure type genre and a little bit of horror in, because honestly, I love the older Fallout games where there was way more horror-isms in there. I want to see a lot of horror in here, but not too much. I'll let Chazelle do the thinking on this one. Oldboy is one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever experienced in my entire life. I want to see Park Chan-wook's Dracula. Mic drop. John Carpenter has not made a big movie in a while. And he is one of the biggest horror directors of all time, if not the most iconic horror director of all time. Maybe, maybe not. I want his last big movie to be John Carpenter's Evil Dead. Werner Herzog, again, one of my favorite directors of all time. I want him to make a caveman movie, like A Quest for Fire. And It's gonna be so immersive. It's gonna be like Aguirre, The Wrath of God, one of the best movies of all time. Up next, we have Chris Stuckmann, and I want to see him take on a movie in the Conjuring franchise. At last, and certainly not least, Michael Haneke's Hannibal. That's it for today, guys. What did you think about some of these movies? Which movies do you want to watch? Which movies you're like, this is an abomination, that movie's not gonna work. Ooh, you were cooking with that idea. I hated that idea. What was that casting choice over there? Talk to me. What are your ideas for pitches for next directors? Let's get a conversation going in the comments. Please like and subscribe. It helps me so much with the algorithm. You're helping me so much by just clicking a few buttons. Thank you, guys. Bye.